Hey guys, it's Alyssa, the hopeless romantic redhead.
And I'm Danielle, the whodunit detective.
And welcome to Main Character Syndrome. If you feel like you're the main character in your life, you are in the right place. Wow, we are nearly done with Tower of Dawn, Book 6 of the Throne of Glass series, and it has been a wild ride, Danielle.
Yeah, we're about halfway through, and I've really enjoyed this book so far. We get a good amount of action being set in a new kind of scene, per se, and a lot of interesting new characters that I'm excited to dive into.
Interesting new characters, and we're going to find out they're tied to other characters that we've already met.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. So today's episode is going to be chapter 35 to 52. Again, spoiler alert, if you have not read Throne of Glass series up to book 6, including Assassin's Blade, what are you doing here? Go back, read those books. We highly recommend it. They are very, very good. And then come back and listen to our podcast.
Yeah, this book really wouldn't mean a lot to you
You'd
if
be
you
very
haven't.
confused.
And so we will be spoiling from chapters 1 all the way through 52 of this book. So if you haven't read to 52, once again, we're going to go all the way to the end there. And then in the next episode, finish the book on out.
Yep. So we last left off with chapter 34. We were in the mountains with Nezrin and Sartak, and they just kind of got away from the Stygian spiders. And we learned Falcon is a shapeshifter.
Yes. So he is a shapeshifter jumping into chapter 35, and he actually followed them to this watchtower as a falcon. And because of the spider attack and him kind of turning into, I would say he turned into one of kind of the Rooks, maybe. Anyways, no, it was a wolf, I believe.
Yeah, he turned into a wolf.
Yes, he turned into a wolf and got injured saving Sartak and Nezrin. So he's injured and he's dying. Sartak is losing his mind and he's being super mean to Falcon and he doesn't trust him because he's a shapeshifter and he did not disclose that he was. And so he's kind of like basically let him die despite him saving their lives already. And Nezrin's really pissed off, tells him to piss off and that she's helping him. And then they fly back to get him healed. Sartak argues with Hulan, the Hearth Mother, who tells him she forgot to tell him about the word keys and the word gates. She's like, "Oh, by the way, I remembered while you're gone. These really important things and word keys and word gates, something that Nezrin did not tell Sartak and kind of left that out." So then he asks Nezrin who has the word keys, and she's like, "What?" and plays dumb, and he sees right through her. And we learn that the keys were lost after Maeve used them to send the Volg back a long time ago, is what we learn in this chapter. He guesses that Erewhon has at least one, judging by how fast he's kind of risen to power. And Nezrin doesn't actually know where the others are because Aelin never told her if they have any of them. He wants to fly to 3 other watchtowers once Falcon is healed.
Yep. So chapter 36, remember Kael just kind of started training with the soldiers at Antica. So he continues his training and he continues his healing with Irene. He is now healed up to his knees, but he still can't stand yet. So Kael is also still teaching self-defense to the acolytes with Irene. And then later at a formal dinner, Hussar hints that Nezrin and Sartak are coming back the next day, but Kael says Nezrin sent word that they were staying in the mountains another few weeks. Then Hussar is like, Dorian and Aelin have both been seen. Her spies found Aelin in, guess where? Skulls Bay, unleashing her power on Morath's ships. Kael is like, oh shit. Because that's what he told Irene to
Mhm.
tell Hussar, thinking that Aelin would never in a million years go to Skulls Bay because of her beef with Rolf. Well, that's exactly where she went. And then Kale kind of tries to defend Aelin, and then Hussar asks this question. If Aelin can be trusted, and for him to swear on Irene's life that Aelin won't one day try to conquer Antica, and Kale can't. He cannot swear that Aelin can be trusted. This pissed me off
Yeah,
so much.
so frustrating. Like, what else
I'm
does
like,
she have to
Kale, this is
do?
another step back. Like, you were doing so good in the book, and now I hate you again.
I think also a lot of that had to do with he didn't want to like put Irene, like tie her to Irene's life. Like, I think that that prominent, like, that was just too big.
Hmm.
Because it was kind of like, if it was my life, I'd feel different. But
Yeah. I mean, still, like, Aelin, you did Aelin dirty. You could have done her a solid here.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm. But her son
Anyways,
was also like baiting him into that, I felt like.
oh, for
Like, he was
sure.
like, oh, I know you wouldn't do this.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Because he really cares about Irene and he wouldn't put her in danger. But it just made me so mad. Then later that night, Caution comes to pay Kale a visit, and he wants to talk about his concern for Irene's safety, as he also cares for the healer. And he also shares some information about this new weapon, hinting that there's some trouble ahead. He says that they sent Captain Rolfe weapons called fire lances, and that they sent another shipment north.
yes. So, chapter 37, we jump back to Nezrin and Sartak. Nezrin goes with Sartak, visiting other clans and kind of training with them. One night, Hulan asks Nezrin, and Falcon to tell a story of Otterlin or the Fae, and Nezrin offers to sing instead. And it's been mentioned before that she only like she's a really good singer, but she really doesn't sing often, and kind of the only people that have ever heard her really are her family. And so this was kind of a big thing, and it's showing that she's becoming more comfortable here with the Rukin. So Nezrin and Sartak, during all of this, are kind of growing closer. And then the four of them, Nezrin, Sartak, Borte, and Falcon, go to two of the watchtowers and find nothing. Sartak points out a Rook when they're back home who has no rider to Nezrin. And he kind of insinuates potentially, like, this could be your own Rook. It wants a rider. And she's like, I can't, like, I have to return eventually. And he says that it might, the Rook must have to wait then for another rider. And it's kind of like, oh, sad. Like, she definitely wants to, but it's like, I can't. So they go and search now the third and final watchtower, and as they are, another group of riders shows up, and they are a less welcoming clan, we learn, and they kind of have beef with Sartak's clan and Borte. And the leader Yaren says that three of their hatchlings were just taken, and that they are searching for them. Yaren and Borte throw insults out at each other, and they kind of seem like they hate each other. And then we learn that they're betrothed, Yaren and Borte, and it's really funny. And Sartak then tells Yaren and his clan to fly back to their eyrie and that they'll handle the spiders taking their hatchlings.
Yeah, I really like Borte and Yaren's like banter in this
Yeah,
chapter.
so funny.
Chapter 38. Well, Kale is fed up with waiting for the Coggin, so he interrupts a meeting with him and the foreign trade vizier. Now, Kale says he actually came to speak with the vizier, not the Coggin, and he offers the vizier the jewels that Dorian gave him to double Ralph's Fire Lance order. And he's kind of trying to show the Coggin how profitable the war would be, but the Coggin kicks him out and says he cannot be manipulated. Then later, once again, Kale is angry and he tends to pick fights when he's angry. So he and Irene get into it again. He says some very hurtful things. She turns to leave. And then Kale's like, well, crap. And he realizes what he says and he wants to make it right. So he gets up and he advances towards Irene.
Yeah, he was like way out of line and like really kind of knocked her character almost in a sense during that fight. And it was just, it was not cool. And he definitely overstepped his boundary. And so he's like, if she leaves now, this is it.
Yeah.
And
And
so
again, after that thing about Aelin and then him saying this to Irene, I'm like, Kale,
keep your mouth shut.
stop.
Just, yeah, just keep your mouth shut. Go to
Digging himself a
therapy.
hole.
Yeah. So, anyways, chapter 39, he steps trying to walk to her and is apologizing, and he's trying to catch up with her and kind of, you know, get to her and grab her, and she keeps kind of dodging him, and she's basically forcing him to walk, and he starts to realize it, and then he gets her against a wall and kisses her, and um she kind of, she doesn't say this aloud, but she kind of coaxed him into the fight and knows that he didn't mean what he said to her. So it's like instantly forgiven. And she gets him back to his chair and they kiss a lot more. And she then begins to heal him again.
Yep. So, sweet chapter. Still gets on my nerves though. Like you can't say that to
It's
people.
toxic. It's so
Stop
toxic.
it. Just be nice.
Yeah.
So then chapter 40, Kale can now walk, but he needs a cane. And he still has plenty more healing to do, and Irene kind of encourages the physical and also mental healing as well. Their relationship has obviously changed, and he continues to spar with Hashim. And in this sparring session, he uses his cane as a weapon, and he struggles a little bit. But then after Irene kind of gives him a little kiss of encouragement, and then they're kind of interrupted by a servant before it can get too passionate. Then they're kind of walking, and they find out it's Irene's birthday that's coming up, and this is how she's going to convince Hussar to allow them into the oasis. So Hussar is going to throw her a big party at the oasis, and they can look for information on the Volg in the meantime.
Chapter 41, Sartak, Nezran, and Falcon are sent to fly into the Spiderland and sneak in to try to find the stolen hatchlings. Sartak says he'd rather give up being Kagan if it meant he had to stay away from war. And him and Nezran start talking about marriage on the journey, and he says Duva is the only one with a child, and her marriage was arranged because she asked for it, but they are allowed to marry whoever they'd like. Sartak talks to talks of Borte's mother being killed in a small battle that him and others went to, and so he was there. And he was there when she died, and she was kind of like stabbed in the back, and it was just like a really cowardly way that she died. So someone else was a coward killing her. And so Borte and Yeren have been battling out for years at the annual competition that they have, and she keeps winning. And after one competition, it was announced, and Sartak isn't sure, I should say their betrothal was announced, and Sartak isn't sure if she actually knew about the betrothal beforehand or not. So it was kind of just a weird little thing and backstory between Borte and Yeren. Um, and then they arrive at the spiders area, and it's covered in webs, and the spider group, they realize, has grown substantially. So they don't see any spiders, they just see all of these giant webs everywhere. And then they see a hatchling, and Kadara starts sprinting for it, and as they dive to get it, they are led into a giant web, and it's a trap.
Yeah, so chapter 42, the Stygian spider appears and kills the hatchling. So sad. Kadara crashes into the web. Sartak instinctively protects Nezran on impact and taking the brunt of it himself and injuring himself in the process. Then Sartak struggles to free Kadara, showing how strong that their bond is. Nezran then shoots an arrow at a spider to buy them time, but it doesn't last because more spiders appear.
43, we jump to Kale, and Kale, Irene, and the Royals are riding horses to the desert. And the Royals, to kind of be mean to him, they gave him a really difficult horse to work with, whose name means butterfly. So it's really funny. They're like, this horse is terrible. And also, its name is Butterfly, you little wimp. And then Kale and Irene have a sweet, fun time together, kind of racing their horses through the desert.
Yeah, kind of a very simple chapter.
Yeah.
Well, Nezran and Sartak are just in absolute peril.
Yeah.
Chapter 44. At Irene's birthday party in the Oasis, Irene checks on Kale since their ride and they have like a little playful moment together. Then they start kind of sharing stories from their past. And Kale tells her about his men and how they were tortured and left hanging on the castle gates. And this is huge for him because he's not very vulnerable and he never likes to open up. So this is great for his mental healing process as well. Then they kind of go for a walk trying to find a cave for more information, but they come across these ruins and columns with pictures on them of war and Volg. They seem to have discovered a Fae burial site. Kale believes that the healers are the ancestors of the Fae and that they can fight the Volg. Later during the celebration, Hussar says Aelin should marry one of her brothers. Kale says, no way, she's gonna marry Rowan Whitethorn because he's her Caranom and he's sworn a blood oath. Hussar kind of continues her little antics and she's like, Irene should marry Caution. Kale says, that'll never happen either. And then Hussar kind of makes a joke that kind of makes fun of Kale's wheelchair. It's like he said something about how Aelin could drink them under the table, and then Hussar is kind of like, or a chair. And then Irene just like pushes Hussar into the pool.
Yeah, she lost her cool for sure and just like attacked her. Like, not to obviously kill her, but this was huge. It was like oh snap. This is not good. You just kind of technically attack the princess. So, chapter 45, Irene pushes Hussar into the water, and blades are immediately drawn everywhere. And Kale and Irene ready themselves to fight and basically be killed because they are outnumbered for what Irene has done to the princess. And then Renya, Hussar's lover, all of a sudden begins roaring with laughter, and so does Caution. And this completely lightens the mood. And Hussar is pissed, but decides to kind of like let it slide. So,
I like their like relationship. I like Renya because it's almost like she's like the voice of reason. She's like, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
yeah, like you deserve to be put in your place. And here's a taste of your own medicine. And so
Yes.
they, in doing that, completely saved their lives. So then Kale and Irene go to her tent and she asks about his relationship with Aelin. And he tells her the story of him and Aelin and that he does not love her anymore and that he does not love Nezrin. And it's her birthday. And so he gives her a locket for her birthday with her initials carved on it. And it's supposed to represent the journey that she took to get to where she is today. And he tells her to fit whatever she keeps in her pocket in there. He's kind of like, I've kind of judged it. He's never seen the piece of paper that she keeps in her pocket. He just has kind of assumed based off of how it looks in her pocket that it would fit. So then she's completely touched by this and they start making out and
Bow,
they
chicka, bow, wow.
they do it for the first time, but it's neither of their first time. So obviously he did it with Aelin, and then Irene says that she's done it before too. So
Props to Sarah J. Maas for not using the term velvet wrap steel. We love to not see it.
yeah.
So, 46, in their post-sex cuddle sesh, Irene opens up about her time in Inish and how a mysterious woman appeared and taught her self-defense, and then set her on this path to becoming a healer with her gift, which was gold and a brooch. They still have no idea who this woman is, but we know from reading Assassin's Blade, it is Aelin.
Hey, start over with chapter 46. You just froze up.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Chapter 46, in their post-sex cuddle sesh, Irene opens up about her time in Inish and how a mysterious woman appeared and taught her self-defense, and then set her on this path to become this healer with her gift, which was gold and a brooch. Now, they both still have no idea who this woman is, but we know because we read Assassin's Blade, it is Aelin. Aelin is the one that gave her the brooch and the gold for her to go to the Torre Chesme and become a healer.
So then in chapter 47, we're jumping back now to the action 47. Nezrin and Sertak are tracking through Spiderland and they want to find a way up to get to Kadra to be flown away. Falcon is still a mouse inside Nezrin's pocket. He's been a mouse in there the whole time. And Sartak, in the process of them trying to escape, he gets stuck kind of in a rock. He can't squeeze through the rock to get out. And all of a sudden, the spiders come and kind of catch up to them. Nezrin can't get him out. She keeps trying and trying, and it's looking likely that Sartak is going to die. He's injured, the spiders are there, and in this moment where death looks just right there, he says to Nezrin that he heard rumors about her before she came, and that he knew he loved her before he ever laid eyes on her, and that he wishes they had more time together.
Oh, if there's one thing that Sarah J. Maas does well, it is a confession.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, you
Oh,
can't die
chef's
right now,
kiss.
Sartak.
Mwah, chef's
And
kiss.
yeah, it was so good. I was like, oh, that's romantic. And then the spiders take Sartak, and he's kind of like tells Nezrin to run. So Nezrin gets away, but as she's kind of running away, she comes up with a plan to get Sartak back. And she goes back to the spider's home to intentionally get captured.
Yep. So, chapter 48, Nezrin wakes up in a dimly lit ancient passage tied up in the silk web. Sartak is near, but he's unconscious and covered in blood. So, bad news bears there. Nezrin's kind of jolted awake by Falcon, who's shifted into the mouse, and he's like chewing on her bindings. So then a spider appears, and Nezrin kind of speaks to it to distract and buy time, pretending to be sent by a merchant that trades with the spider's kin up north, claiming that they were there to negotiate. And the spider reacts with disdain towards her sisters that they would trade with the mortals. Then she says that the Karen Kui are waiting for the Queen of the Volg to return and take them home.
Queen
Who
of the
is
Volk.
the Queen of the Volg? She goes by Maeve. Maeve is the Volg Queen.
Yep. This was a mic drop,
We knew she was evil.
but like evil, evil.
Evil, evil.
Yeah, she's like worse than Erewhon. So, chapter 49, this was a really, really big chapter. And so, this was one that really you just kind of need to go back and read yourself if you want the whole history and backstory. And of course, I'll recap it here. But this was a huge chapter.
And this is
So, now,
really huge for Kingdom of Ash as well. So remember everything that you read in this chapter.
yeah. So, chapter 49, Nezrin asks the spider to tell her the story of Maeve being the Volg queen before it kills her. And we learn that the three Volg kings in another world waged a war to end all wars, and they won and ruled. A queen appeared who could do big, horrible things with her power, and all three kings wanted her, but she allied only with one of them, Orcus. Then she found a way to look into other worlds, and she stepped into one of these worlds one day, and the spiders were her handmaidens, and they came with her into this world. She never went back to the three kings in their other world. Orcus was pissed that his queen left him and found out how to come to her world and took his brothers. Orcus made three keys for the three kings to visit other realms to hunt for Maeve. They got to this world, but Maeve was already hidden in another part of the world. She found the Fae ruled by sister queens. This is where she went. The sister queens we've heard of before, Mab and Mora. She used her power to get in their minds and make them think that they had an older sister to rule with them. And this explains why she's still alive and the other queens are dead. Because while Fae are almost completely immortal, they still die. Thousands of years maybe, or maybe around 1,000 years, regardless. It's more than a human lifetime, but Maeve has outlived everyone. She's the oldest being in the world. They faced her in the war many years ago, but didn't recognize her. The Three Kings faced her in war many years ago, but didn't recognize her because she hid inside of a Fae's body. So she took the keys from them and sent two of the Vol Kings back. But before she could send Erewhon back, Brennan took the keys from her. He saw the darkness in Maeve and suspected her, but didn't know that a female could be Volg. So the spider exposed that Maeve fears fire and that all Volg do. The spiders are ordered to guard the passage between the worlds, which is what we kind of learned in previous chapters about the three watchtowers, is that that's kind of where Maeve, or well, now we know that Maeve, but that's kind of where the Volg entered. So Falcon then skitters away, and another spider interrupts before it goes to Nezrin after it's told her this story. And this spider says that there's a problem with rooks flying in, and it orders this smaller spider to go guard them. And this spider is Falcon. As
Mhm.
you know, he shapeshifted into one of the spiders to get the other one to not kill her and go away.
Once again, Falcon to the rescue. Chapter 50, the crew escapes the spiders, but not for long because more quickly give chase. Nezra now knows that the Volg don't like fire, so she launches flaming arrows at the spiders to fend them off, with Sartak's hair as like flint. I laughed so hard at this because he's just like chopping off his hair as he goes.
Yeah.
But it's not enough, obviously. Then Falcon comes in and he's like, I will buy time. And he tells Nezrin about a niece, but he doesn't know who she is. He asks her to find this niece of his if she can, because all he owns belongs to her. Nezrin realizes that his niece is Lysandra. Then Nezrin finally shoots an arrow and it finally aims true, setting one spider on fire, but they're still trapped with nowhere to go. Falcon is facing his impending death because he gets gravely injured from fighting the spiders, and Sartak attempts to protect Nezrin, getting hurt in the process. And just when it seems all hope is lost, a large rook appears.
Falcon's niece is Lysandra.
Yeah.
Like worlds colliding, and that was wild to me. I was like, I didn't see that coming. Chapter 51, Arcus, who is Borte's rook, is there. He kills the spider before it kills Sartak and Nezrin. And Borte is there, so is Yaren and Kadra, which is Sartak's rook. And then they all arrive and pick them up. And one of the rooks is also carrying something limp, which we can hope is Falcon. It doesn't specifically say, though, in this chapter. And all of a sudden, there are hundreds of rook riders there, and they're all starting to shoot fire arrows at the spiders and the webs, and they fly away.
Yep. So everyone's alive and well for now. Chapter 52, Kale and Irene are back. We're back in Antica with Kale and Irene. And they're leaving the Oasis. They leave a note for Hussar about a sick patient that Irene needs to tend to, which obviously is a lie. They then arrive at Kale's room and it is absolutely trashed. The servant, Kaja, says it was like it when she got there. Now, Irene is obviously suspicious and she's like, where were you? And Kaja is like, I was visiting my parents. I thought you guys were gone for the night. So I kind of took that liberty and took the day off. Kale is like, Irene, back off. It's fine. And she kind of does. And then they find that all the books and scrolls that Irene had been using to research have been taken. Irene goes to check on the boot that they hid one of the scrolls in and finds that that's still there. So it's a little small victory. Then they realize that they can't stay there anymore because it's not safe. Well, she can't. Kale tells Irene she should go back to the Torre alone and that he'll stay there so Nezrin doesn't come back to find him gone with Irene. Because this is in his head. He's like, he looks at Nezrin's bedroom. He's like, oh crap, what if Nezrin comes back and I'm with Irene? So he's feeling
Mhm.
guilty here. Obviously, Irene isn't happy about this, but she kind of leaves in a huff. And Kale's really struggling with his feelings about Nezrin and how he's been with Irene while Nezrin has been out looking for answers, and that Nezrin deserves loyalty that he has not provided. So,
He is so torn. He's a man who just beats himself up over everything.
well, and when Nezrin left, she kind of gave him a hall pass, was like, I hold you to no promises.
Yeah.
I am also held to no promises. We are both free to see other people.
Mm-hmm. So, ugh, oh well. But
Yeah.
man, that was a lot of action in there. That was really fun to read. And we learned a lot of important things. Obviously, I think there is eventually going to be a reunion between Falcon and Lysandra. And then now Borte, or not Borte, Sartak and Nezrin, they have a new romance budding, and Sartak's in love with her. And then we also learn the story of Maeve, and that Maeve is a Volg queen, and
Yeah.
that was wild.
And it's like so many signs were leading up to this because Maeve is more powerful than any being that they've
Mhm.
encountered. I mean, she has the power to go into someone's mind and change their memories,
Yeah,
change what they know of themselves.
yeah,
And she was able to tell Rowan, this is your mate, not Aelin.
yep.
And she's able to go into these Fae Queens' minds and
Mhm.
tell them that they have a sister.
And she knows, like, yeah, she could see things. Like, Aylin's mother did not want her being around Maeve and didn't want a kind of Maeve like spying on her. She kind of said
Mhm.
that Maeve kind of would try and spy.
Yeah, because she can spy and she I think she can see like a little bit of the future too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works, but I'm sure that'll be explained in Kingdom of Ash. But
Mhm.
Maeve is bad news bears.
Yes.
But
And guess
there are
what?
also, huh?
And guess what?
And guess what?
Aylin's been taken by Maeve, so
Ooh.
so this is even worse now that we know that.
As someone who's read Kingdom of Ash, the first few chapters are rough.
Yeah.
Again, for a young adult book, oofta.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, the fun part about this whole series too is that there are so many relationships. We've got two in this book alone.
And people would I've seen on the internet people being like, Aelin, she switches around from man to man. Dorian, Kaol, Rowan. And I'm like, hello. Kaol's had like a bunch of girls.
Two in
Like
one
probably
book.
this, yeah. So I'm like,
And
he
also, you have to look at it too. These are like children in our, like, they're 19 to 23.
yeah.
How many people did we date? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's fine. All right. So that is that for now. We'll find out what happens next in our next episode. But for now, to the readers who listen, we'll see you later.
Bye everyone.